for today's cup of coffee, I have a topic that I just became aware of today. And this is what happens when I go down rabbit holes. And of course, you ask questions. This is what we do. We're supposed to go, okay, how does this lead to this? Does this fit in with this?
She went down a pipeline, that's what she did.
Maybe. And so it was a matter of, while I am still searching, well, I'm waiting for the new, my book of alien species. It's supposed to be here tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a matter of delving into a little bit of anthropology. And
interesting.
On this video, folks, you're going to have to listen between the words. And that's because the world we live in right now, I would like to be able to do explicit binary code on this, but can't.
Yeah, because it doesn't work like this, because it's a bunch of bullshit.
Well, yeah. And this one is going to have quite a bit of adult language, primarily coming from me, because when you get into the field of science as it is practiced today, it is not science.
Yeah, and usually y'all have to worry about me. Mom has to worry about me cussing, but today, when it comes to science, she gets passionate about it.
Well, I am passionate about it because they have politicized every damn thing.
Yeah, they did, and it is just a bunch of bullshit.
And I still have not gotten over the fact that Noah cooked the books.
Cooked the books?
They did. They certainly did, as far as to fit in with the agenda of the global warming and all this bullshit and stuff like that, and that they knew that they were taking erroneous data. They selected which data that they took so that it could prove the political agenda. That's bullshit.
And who cooked the books on that?
This is... No.
I thought you said Noah, and I'm like, wait, what, Noah?
N-O-A-A.
In the Ark?
No, not that Noah. Not that far back. They've not been keeping statistics, and Al Gore. Well, his essence may have existed during the time of Noah. He was probably one of the ones that was on the outside beating on the Ark, let me in.
I mean, you do have to dry paper and such like that, when writing on it. When making paper, you do have to dry it out, so in a way you do have to bake it, but...
Oh, goodness. Anyhow, but no, there were quite a few of people, and Noah was, I can't remember if it was National Oceanic Atmospheric something, and it's like Blue and them, they'll fuss on me. It's like, how did you not know what Noah stood for off the top of your head, the way that you didn't know what MUFON stood for off the top of your head? Anyhow, this was a scientific group that I truly had believed in and had trusted for years.
Yeah.
And so it was very disheartening. And in our current world, there are many things that we once believed in and trusted and found out that we have been betrayed.
Yeah.
So, but now as far as some other areas of science, even when I was in like high school and stuff, I'm like, this does not. You could, in your gut, you knew that this was not right.
Well, that's like them fighting with you about, like, the Earth being one landmass, and that's whatever the fuck it was when all...
Pangea.
And, like, you can clearly see it looks like puzzle pieces.
Sure. I was rebuked over that when I was in, like, 4th or 5th grade.
It does look like puzzle pieces, though, and they look like they would fit together, though there seems to be some pieces missing.
Well...
But the only reason that is because it's underwater right now.
Absolutely. Well, there is evidence of Pangea, and that is an accepted thing at this point.
Yeah.
But there are some people that we were discussing yesterday about that group that will not be named.
Flat Earthers.
No. And they reject any evidence otherwise. I mean, we truly are in, like, the Middle Ages again.
Their own tests prove them wrong.
Yes. So anyhow, I mean, we've got the plagues going, we've got the Inquisition going, my God, we are back in the Middle Ages for real. It's just our modern version.
And Mom and I were listening to, like, these people doing pig hauls, and that got me into one of my favorite musical artists. Her name is Eivør. I don't know if that's the proper way, but she has this song called Trøllabundin, and it's Icelandic.
It's very tribal.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of her music is very tribal, and she's like, ooh, stepped right out of the cave. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Well, speaking of this, we're going to step back into the cave, both figuratively and possibly literally in the
I'm
next
fine
little
with
bit.
living in a cave. Let me live.
No, it's like, quest for fire on that. But we will also include the link to the hog calling contest.
It was hilarious. They put it to metal.
Yes, to a metal guitarist, and it's like, I find these people, and then we will put a link to, is it Eivør? Was that her name?
Eivør, yeah.
Eivør. I'm sorry, I don't speak Icelandic.
That's the good part. Should we give them the actual music video, or should we give them the version that I showed you?
We can do either one. We can do the links and stuff
Okay.
on that. I'm not going to edit that out. Anyhow, that's just end speak on this stuff. Anyhow, from June 25th, 2021, the headline, like I said, from the New York Times. And first of all, when I found this and researched it, all these mainstream media groups came up with the same thing. So that's a warning right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, discovery of dragon man skull in China may add species to human family tree. And just going to skim through here. Like I said, I will provide the link. The writer on this, the reporter, I'll take that for what it's worth, Carl Zimmer. And it says the skull belonged to a mature male who had a huge brain, massive brow ridges, deep-set eyes, and a bulbous nose. Now, how do they know that?
Exactly. Now, by what I saw on the picture of the skull, it looked more Neanderthalish than, dragon.
Anyhow, well, they're calling that, it says, it had remained hidden in an abandoned well for 85 years after a laborer came across it at a construction site in China. The researchers named the new species Homo longi and gave it the name Dragon Man for the Dragon River region of northeast China where the skull was discovered. The team said Homo longi and not the Neanderthals was the extinct human species most closely related to our own. If confirmed, that would change how scientists envision the origin of Homo sapiens, which has been built up over the years from fossil discoveries and analysis of ancient DNA. In 1933, a laborer working at a bridge construction site in the city of Harbin discovered the peculiar skull. It's likely that the man, whose name has been withheld by his family, recognized that he had found a scientifically important specimen. Just 4 years earlier, researchers had found another human-like skull nicknamed Peking Man near Beijing. It appeared to link the people of Asia to their evolutionary forerunners.
Yeah.
Rather than hand over the new skull to the Japanese authorities who occupied northeast China at the time, the laborer chose to hide it. He did not mention the skull to anyone for decades. In the account of the fossil's discovery, the authors of the new paper speculated that he was ashamed of having worked for the for the Japanese. Shortly before his death in 2018, the laborer told his family about the fossil. And it goes on to say the researchers argued that Homo longi appears to have been an adult of great size. His cheeks were flat and his mouth broad. The lower jaw is missing, but the researchers infer from the dragon man's upper jaw and other fossil human skulls that he likely lacked a chin. They said that his brain was about 7% larger than the average brain of a living human. It says today the planet is home to just one species of hominin, Homo sapiens. But Dragon Man existed at a time when a number of drastically different kinds of hominins coexisted. Notice that word, coexisted, including Homo erectus, a tall human with a brain 2/3 the size of our own, as well as tiny hominins that I did not even try to pronounce. I have embarrassed myself trying to pronounce the things for 2 days. Not today. Okay, in recent years, studies of fossil DNA have also revealed another human-like lineage in this period, and those are the Denisovans. And I actually got that one right. And the DNA came largely from isolated teeth chipped bones, and even dirt. Those remains are not enough to show us what Denisovans looked like. Now, this Denisovan thing is a new something that has just within the past couple of years. I'll get to that. The most promising fossil yet found that could be evidence of Denisovans came from a cave in Tibet, a massive jaw with 2 stout molars dating back at least 160,000 years. In 2019, scientists isolated proteins from the jaw, and their molecular makeup suggests they belong to Denisovan rather than a modern human or Neanderthal. Save your questions. I know what the questions are building because I have them too. This is from Science, and
But she dares.
I did dare. Stunning dragon man skull may be an elusive Denisovan or a new species of human. It all goes together. Be patient. Be patient. This is from June 25th, also 2021. So you've got 2 articles coming out on the same day. And, okay, it says in this article in 3 papers in the year-old journal, The Innovation, paleontologist, let's see, Jiang Jai, called the new species Homo longi. Long means dragon in Mandarin. They also claim the new species belongs to the sister group of Homo sapiens and thus an even closer relative of humans than Neanderthals. Okay, now notice this. This is something that has replaced the current understanding of where basically the cradle of civilization began, which I don't, we'll get into that because that's bullshit too. Anyhow, they suspect the large skull has an equally exciting identity. They think it may be the long-sought skull of Denisovan, an elusive human ancestor from Asia, known chiefly from DNA. Okay, and this is from Genome Web. Ancient DNA analysis elucidates split of Denisovan, Neanderthal, Y chromosome lineages. Now, this is from September 24th, 2020. So that's a year before these other things came there. All right. It says through an analysis of ancient Denisovan and Neanderthal DNA samples, researchers in Europe, the U.S., and China have found that Y chromosomes of Denisovans split around 700,000 years ago from a Y chromosome lineage that was shared by Neanderthals and modern humans, which diverged from each other around 370,000 years ago. Okay, one more, and then let the questions begin. Hang on.
It's not a question.
Then from Live Science, had typed in the question, how many early human species existed on Earth? And then this was the response. This was from January 24th, 2021. It depends on your definition of human. Yeah. And it says, long ago, there was a lot more human diversity. Homo sapiens lived alongside an estimated 8 now extinct species of human about 300,000 years ago. And it says another human species known as the Denisovans that were sharing the caves with others. And this one guy said, we have one species right now, and historically, that's really weird. And their definition of what is a species, the definition of species used to be nice and simple. If 2 individuals could produce fertile offspring, they were from the same species. For example, a horse and a donkey can mate to produce a mule, but mules can't successfully reproduce with each other. Therefore, horses and donkeys, though biologically similar, are not the same species. In recent decades, however, that simplicity has given way to a more complex scientific debate about how to define a species. Critics of the interbreeding definition point out that not all life reduces sexually. Some plants and bacteria can reproduce asexually. All right, let the questions begin.
Okay, but, like, how do they know it had no jaw? First of all, how would they know if it had no chin, basically no chin, without the lower mandible? More than likely, it did have a chin, because you cannot have a face without a chin. Even the people with the weak chins, the fucking mouth breathers, they still have a chin. It's
Right.
just recessed.
Right.
First of all, that skull looked more Neanderthalish than... It looked more like a Homo sapien.
I'm going to...
Like a caveman. It looked more caveman-like. Rather than reptilian. Rather than like a dragon human person.
They're saying that they only called it Dragon Man because it was found near the Dragon River. I call bullshit on that. Especially since the emperors used to boast about being descended from dragons. Now that's just typical. Okay, all this stuff that we were taught in school, that this was like this and this was like that, and that we, evolved and all this stuff is bullshit.
Now, but you also earlier you were questioning whether or not there were species of humans.
Absolutely.
Rather than races, are they just other species?
Absolutely. Are there different species? And according to this, there were indeed species of humanoids. But as far as them deriving from apes and this and that and the other, no, I don't believe so. I believe that there is a lost history of this earth that has been non-disclosed for centuries. I think that it is an affront to say that humans are here by accident, or that they were some kind of genetic offspring of another species. That is not valid, because where are the things that are in evolution now? You can have a dog, you can, through adaptation and stuff like that, it can develop different traits, but a dog will never be a cat. But in today's insane world, where you are trying to make a sow's ear, into a silk purse, and tell people that they can be anything they want to be, which is delusional. If it goes against their biology,
they can be anything they want to be as far as careers, not, chain of third gender.
Well,
let's be specific about that. They can do, if they really set their mind to it, anyone could be any career.
Well, now let's face it. Somebody with an IQ of 80 is never going to probably win the Pulitzer Prize or be a neurosurgeon.
Oh, now that's very true, but
right. But I think that people are taking that stuff too far. And it's like we have a delusional world that is very blatant and in our faces, that is designed to break brains.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as a lot of this anthropology stuff, I've always thought that it's like they have just made up a story. They find something. Even as far as the lab results, well, now, have we not seen lately how lab results have been skewed?
Mm-hmm.
They're invalid.
With the shape of that skull, as far as the protruding brow bone, there are humans still that have very distinct brow bones that do look Neanderthalish.
Well, we think that. We have depictions of what they think Neanderthal
I'm not saying that.
like.
I know for a fact we do not come from monkeys, but as far as cavemen, they look like,
They
cavemen.
They look like what we think cavemen looked like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's been the representation that we all grew up with.
But even as far, and yes, I am focusing heavily on that. Without the lower mandible, you cannot say whether or not it had a chin or not, because it doesn't have the lower mandible.
Right.
I think that's what it's called.
Yes, you're correct.
I know shit. I know some shit.
But it's like any of this stuff.
Cosmetology actually makes you study every single bone.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
And the hands.
That's a good
feet.
thing. Yay. Because if you've got somebody that comes in and they have an anomaly or they have a deformity or whatever, then you can know how to work around that, and you can actually see that it's a deformity.
It gives you enough knowing to be go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to see a doctor about that.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
If you have a toe fungus or anything like that, don't go to a fucking person that does a pedicure. I have had so many people, and I'm like, I cannot work on it. I am sorry. Go to the doctor.
It's like, wait, I'm sorry, that's below our pay, that's above our pay grade on that.
We didn't get paid as students.
Well, still yet, it's just like, oh, you just nasty. Anyhow. If you
Like, there's ointments for that. There's powders for that.
Seriously, there are remedies for the toenail fungus, and including, I have heard people, I don't know that I have ever tried it because I haven't had the toenail fungus, just the diabetes, but they say that you can put Vicks salve on your toenails at night, put socks on, and that is supposed to kill the fungus. I don't know. I've not verified that.
Well, there is Vaseline, so you could smother it out, I guess, but, you know.
Well, the Vicks has got the menthol and stuff, but that has absolutely nothing to do with anthropology.
No, but that just led me into that, whatever.
Because you haven't taken Strattera either.
I don't have Strattera.
We're trying.
I don't have ADHD medication. I am unmedicated, just like Uncle Harry.
That's a work in progress. Anyhow, but as far as, and we see this going on more blatantly today, how kids assume that adults that are teaching them or that are in positions of power know. And that's not always so. And a lot of times they don't know because they were taught by other people who very well may have been in error.
The school system needs to be updated anyway because it's made for people to just sit down and just listen to whatever other people say rather than actually learning for yourself.
Well, it was designed to produce factory workers.
Exactly. Do as you're told.
Right.
That's what it was designed to.
Right.
It's
indoctrination.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But like...
But like what?
That study, there's not enough evidence to actually say that it was dragon people.
Well, there's, like I said, they're just calling it that.
Exactly.
But to say that these were the precursors, that these were the first peoples and stuff like that. And even as far as scripture, if people go into that, there were two creation stories. God created them male and female. And then, a couple of passages later, it talks about God creating Adam and Eve. That was the beginning of a specific race, as opposed to the creation of all human race. There's people that will argue with that, and that's okay. You know, that's all right. But within that, if we go back to the alien species, and yes, I've been listening to David Icke again. I actually heard snippets of one of his presentations that I had heard a long time ago and couldn't find it. And it was a matter that the different alien species had tinkered around with DNA and different things like that.
Still are.
Oh yeah, they are still tinkering with it. We're seeing that day by day.
I made art right there.
You did. He's sculpting with not clothespins. What are they?
Safety pins.
Safety pins. So within that, we can see how this story is being twisted. And it's getting further and further away from the reality of what it is to be human.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do not have some of the common characteristics that defines humanity, love, compassion, empathy, forgiveness, different things like that, then are you truly human? And I've questioned this before with people that are diagnosed as far as sociopaths and psychopaths, because they do not have the ability to feel guilt, regret.
Genetically, yeah, they are human. But as far as morality, no. They are far from human.
I don't know that there's ever been any genetic test on these people.
I'm sure there has been.
Probably not. And I will urge each and every one of you, as far as these ancestry DNA stuff, don't do that. That's a data bank thing.
Yeah.
So, do I believe? Like I said, I'm one of these that I believe that the Earth has a very long history, more than what we have been told. And if you go back into the Vedic scriptures and different things like that, and even as far as the Quran, they have these really interesting creation stories. And one day I would like to compare and contrast some of those other scriptures. And a lot of it is very much like the book of Enoch.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, even like in this presentation, he was talking about the reptilians screwing with our DNA, and that's where we got the reptile brain or the reptilian brain, and that is a common
Lizard brain.
that the lizard brain is a common thing, and that could we be genetic mutants? Possibly.
Yeah. Sorry.
And so, yeah, he hit the vape. These are lots of questions, but I'm going to put links for this. Some of these, if you want to go into deep discussion about this, might be best to send me an email. I don't even know that that's secure anymore from what has come out over the past day or so. But anyhow, yeah.
It's just so.
It's more bullshit into the spin that's supposed it's just spinning people into the ground.
It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. There is something called the Milgram effect, or the Milgram experiment, and that's where somebody in a white lab coat and a clipboard came into a room, and somebody was supposed to administer a electric shock to somebody that was on the other side of the glass as part of an experiment, and that these people, because these people were standing there saying, keep giving them a shock, would have administered a lethal dosage of electricity to another individual. They did not get up, stand up, very few, and said, fuck you, I'm not doing it, and walk out. And they could have. That was an option. These people in the white coats and the clipboards, all they did was just stand there being intimidating.
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of, I think that courage is part of humanity. And so we need to reclaim that.
Absolutely, we do.
Be discerning, do your own research. Headlines and stuff, they don't mean jack these days, folks. So, do I think that we are frightfully, or I can't remember, wonderfully made and designed? Yes, I do.
I think there could have been a few things I would have designed better, but that's my opinion.
Again, that has to do with the broken world that we live in. Do I believe in adaptation? I do. But as far as evolution, do I believe in that? No, I have never believed in it since I was a child. Even Darwin, he recanted before he died.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
But why did they run with that? Because it met the agenda. Humanity is not a mistake. But as far as us waking up and understanding who and what we are, I'm praying for a revelation from God quickly.
Mhm.
Yep, and I do believe it'll come. So, if you've had paranormal or supernatural encounters and adventures, if you've had UFO and alien events, if you've had cryptids in your life, if you've had Bigfoot on your roof, if you have local legends.
Have bats in your house?
No, well, bats in your house if you want to send us footage about that. Or anything like that, just email cupofcoffeewithscream @gmail.com. And for God's sake, think for yourselves, folks.
Bye. Have fun. Don't get eaten. No lizard brain.